أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Juz 13, Surah Yusuf, verse 53. Not that I am free from sin. Man's soul is prone to evil, except the one whom my Rabb has shown mercy. Certainly my Rabb is forgiving, merciful. After being proved innocent in front of everyone, Yusuf a.s. does not give any credit to himself but attributes it to Allah with humility that it was only Allah who saved me from sinning. And this is a typical mark of a mu'min. Verse 54, the king said, "Bring him to me, I will take him for my special service." When Yusuf had a talk with the king, he said, "From now on, you have an honorable place with us and you will enjoy our full confidence." Now Yusuf a.s. is still in the prison, and all that we hear of his profound sayings, they are from the prison. And the king hears about them, and he is so impressed by his personality that although he has not met him physically, he calls for Yusuf a.s. and says that he will keep him so that he can benefit from his wisdom and sound judgment. Verse 55, Yusuf said, "Place me over all the resources of the land. Certainly I know how to manage. I have necessary knowledge." Verse 56, thus we established Yusuf in the land to live therein in any way he wished. We bestow our mercy on whom we please, and we do not let the reward of good people be wasted. Verse 57, yet the reward in the hereafter will be even better for those who believe and are righteous. Now this means that although he was given many blessings at this time, still the blessings of the Akhirah are better, greater and everlasting. They are no match to the blessings of dunya. Verse 58. Several years later, when the famine started and there was no food outside of Egypt, Yusuf's brothers came to Egypt for food and entered his office. Verse 59, when he had given them their due provisions and they were about to leave, he said, "Bring your stepbrother to me next time. Do you not see that I give full measure and provide the best hospitality?" So Yusuf a.s. as usual exhibits full command over his emotions, no outbursts of anger, not even a mention of anything from the past life. And he tells them to bring their brother Binyamin the next time they come. Verse 60, but if you do not bring him, you shall have no grain, nor shall you even come near me again. Verse 61, they replied, "We shall certainly try our best to bring him from his father. This we will surely do." Now we find that human nature doesn't change much. And we see that they have the same image of the father as they had years back. And look at their words. "We shall certainly try our best to bring him from his father," not our father, but his father, because they still have this apprehension that their father doesn't belong to them. 62. Yusuf told his servants to put his brother's money back into their saddlebags secretly, so that they should know about it only when they reach their family, so that they may come back again. So this was a part of the plan that was divinely inspired to Yusuf a.s. in order to make his brothers come back again to him in due time. Verse 63, when Yusuf's brothers returned to their father, they said, "Father, grain is henceforth denied to us unless we take our stepbrother with us. Please send our brother with us so that we may get our measure. We take full responsibility for his safety." Now after a very long period of time, we see Yaqub a.s. on the scene. And the stepbrothers of Yusuf a.s. are trying to persuade Yaqub a.s. that he should send Binyamin with them to get the grain next time. And they say that we will surely protect him. So many years have passed, but we see that they are using the exact same words which they used when they wanted to take Yusuf alayhi salam away. This shows that until and unless there is a transformation of character in the true sense, human nature, even thinking and words remain the same. Verse 64, he said, "Should I trust you with him as I once trusted you with his brother? Allah is the best protector and he is the most merciful of all the mercy givers." Yaqub alayhi salam gives a very sarcastic reply and says that, "Should I trust you as I trusted you before?" This shows that he is still not at rest. His heart still yearns for his lost son. His pain is still there, but amidst this pain, his only support, his only source of peace, his only hope is his trust in Allah. That wherever my son, wherever my child is, he is in Allah's protection and he is the best of protectors. And just look at his love for Allah, that all his life he suffered the pain of the loss of his beloved child, not knowing where he is and whether he is alive or not. Yet he says that he is the most merciful of the mercy givers. This is shukr at its peak. Verse 65, they opened their baggage. They discovered that their money had been returned to them. "Father," they cried with joy, "what more can we ask for? Here is our money returned back to us. We will buy more food for our family. We will take good care of our brother and obtain an extra camel load of grain. This way it will be easy to add another camel load of grain." Verse 66, Yaqub replied, "I will never send him with you until you pledge in the name of Allah that you will surely bring him back to me unless you become helpless." He said, "Allah is the witness over the pledge you made." Verse 67, then he said, "My sons, do not enter the capital city of Egypt through one gate, enter from different gates, not that I can avail you aught against Allah." This advice is just a precaution because none can accurately judge except Allah. In him do I put my trust. In him let all the reliant put their trust. Now he tells them to enter from different gates, and as we know that they were 11 in number, this was in order to prevent the evil eye, or what we call nazar, and this was a precautionary measure taken on his part. Verse 68, when they entered the city as their father had advised them, it did not avail them against the will of Allah. Of course, Yaqub did his best to avert the fear he had in his heart. Indeed, he possessed the knowledge which we had given him, but most people do not know. Now, why is this being said? Because it can cause someone to think that this was the wise planning of Yaqub alayhi salam, because of which they came out safe. Planning alone cannot avail, no matter how wise it is. And at the end of the verse, Allah praises Yaqub alayhi salam that he was a man of deep understanding and wisdom regarding the laws of Allah. Here it specially refers to the knowledge of the evil eye, of which he took measures to protect his sons. And the end of the verse says, but most of the people do not know. Do not know what? The various laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by which he controls the destiny of people. We find that mostly people who are smart, worldly wise, do not get these things, or they doubt such things. But who have religious knowledge and spiritual wisdom, they never doubt such things and they abide by divine laws. And this fact becomes the key to their success. Verse 69. When they entered to Yusuf, he called his brother alone to himself and said, "In fact, I am your brother. Now you need not grieve at what they have been doing." Verse 70, while Yusuf was arranging the loading of their provision, he put the royal drinking cup into his brother's back. Later on, a crier called out, "O people of the caravan, you must be thieves." Verse 71, they turned back and asked, "What have you lost?" Verse 72, the royal servant said, "We have lost the king's drinking cup, and the one who brings it will be awarded a camel load of corn. I guarantee it." Verse 73, Yusuf's brother said, "By Allah, you should know by our behavior during our stay here that we did not come here to make mischief in the land, and we are no thieves." Verse 74, the royal servant said, "What would be the punishment of the thief if you are liars?" Verse 75, they replied, "The punishment of he in whose pack you find the royal cup will be to make him your bondsman. That's how we punish the wrongdoers." Now this was the next mark of Yusuf alayhi salam's plan. That is that he is telling them to suggest the punishment for theft in case they turned out to be liars. He's asking the brothers themselves to suggest the punishment. The government in which Yusuf alayhi salam served was a non-believing government, and we don't know what the laws they had for theft. The family of Yaqub alayhi salam followed the laws of the Sharia, and Yusuf alayhi salam knew well that in the Sharia of Yaqub alayhi salam, the punishment of theft was that the one against whom the crime was proved had to serve the person as a slave whose theft was committed. And as a safety measure, he made the brothers speak up and suggest the punishment so that they cannot raise an objection later on. Verse 76, after this, Yusuf first began to search the packs of his stepbrother before the pack of his own brother. Finally, he took it out of his brother's pack. Thus we directed Yusuf. He could not seize his brother under the king's law, but Allah willed otherwise. We exalt in ranks whom we please. He is the one whose knowledge is far greater than the knowledge of all others. Now the reason why Yusuf alayhi salam did what he did to his brother was that he was directed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to act that way. And the answer comes in the verse that he could not seize his brother under the king's law, but Allah willed otherwise. Allah says that this was the only possible strategy to keep Binyamin. Verse 77. At this accusation, his brother remarked, "There is nothing strange if he has committed a theft, for his brother also committed a theft before him." Hearing this, Yusuf suppressed his feelings and did not reveal anything to them. He simply whispered to himself, "What a bad people you are. You are accusing me of something, the truth of which Allah knows." Now when the brothers see that the goblet comes out of Binyamin's belongings, they are shocked and they are embarrassed too, because just now they had boasted about their honor and their dignity, and in their confusion to cover up for it, they say that he had a brother who also committed a theft. Now imagine how Yusuf alayhi salam must have felt at that moment. They are the ones who had committed the worst theft, robbed a son from his father, and they are conveniently shifting the blame on Yusuf alayhi salam. Now the reason why they accuse Yusuf alayhi salam of theft was, according to a tradition, his maternal grandfather was an idol worshipper. And even as a child, Yusuf alayhi salam was not comfortable with the idea. He did not want that his grandfather should worship an idol, so he broke it, and when the idol was not found in its place, the word was spread that Yusuf stole the idol. And another narration quotes an incident that when Yusuf alayhi salam's mother died, his aunt took him with her, and this was his father's sister, and she loved him very much. But when Yaqub alayhi salam took him back, she did not want to depart from him, so she placed some of her belongings in his luggage, because as I told you before, that according to the Jewish law, the person who was proven with theft had to stay with the owner of things all his life. But Yaqub alayhi salam saw through this plot and took Yusuf alayhi salam away. Yusuf alayhi salam listens to this lie. Imagine how hurt he must have been on hearing what opinion his brothers had for him. But he keeps his feelings suppressed and says in a low tone, like he's talking to himself, "What a bad people you are." That's how you have the audacity to twist the facts. If we take the first incident, that is, then when he broke the idols, then those people, his brothers, they too were Muslim men belonging to a noble family, and they knew very well why Yusuf alayhi salam broke the idol, and instead of appreciating, they twisted it and used it for their own benefit and convenience. And if we take the second incident, then they too lived in the same house. They saw that Yaqub alayhi salam had sorted out the matter, and it was an innocent trick that the aunt played out of love of Yusuf alayhi salam. Imagine the pain of Yusuf alayhi salam, that they have incurred every harm that was possible on him and had been successful, and so many years have passed, almost 25 to 30 years, and still their hearts have not found peace. They are full of that same malice and spite for Yusuf. At the end of the verse, Yusuf alayhi salam says, the truth of which Allah knows. Meaning that whatever you are accusing me of and portraying me as a thief, Allah is well aware of its reality. This is how shallow and fickle human nature can get. That they are people who harm and plot against you all their lives, to the extent that they ruin your life, and yet they have the nerve and the cheek to paint themselves as innocent as angels and shift all the blame on you with baseless and non-existing accusations. And this is one of the most important and the basic themes of Surah Yusuf. That is how to manage the pain and keep going when people hurt you, and especially your dear and near ones, because the pain that is caused by them is more intense in nature. And the golden principle that is being taught is that turning to Allah, Wallahu alamu bima tasifun. That is the secret of success of Yusuf alayhi salam. His deep connection with Allah, turning to Allah, good times or bad times. His friend is Allah. He has to be clear in the eyes of Allah. It does not matter what people think and say about him. So when you feel that someone bears so much malice for you in their heart, yet nothing works, neither your silence nor your explanation, then the only comfort is that Allah knows. This feeling is so soothing, so comforting, that there is a being who knows about me, who understands me, who cares for me. And this is a state in which you become what we call in our language beniyaz. And it's a stage in which you are only concerned about keeping your matters straight with Allah, and the rest does not bother you or affect you. You will keep on doing only what Allah demands from you. And you do not expect anything from them in return, because you never did it for them. You did it for Allah. And whatever they say about you or behave with you, Allah has it all written and recorded with him. And this is a station which you reach after many years of experiences, and after forming this level of connection with Allah, and after controlling and taming your nafs to this level. And then this is the reward, that you become so strong emotionally that you are beyond harm. Verse 78. They said, O noble prince, he has a very aged father who may not be able to survive without him, so please take one of us instead of him. We see that you are one of those who do good to others. 79. Yusuf replied, they will present to you all sorts of excuses when you return to them. Say then, indeed, we would be unjust. Now Yusuf alayhi salam says that we will take only the one with whom we found our luggage. Now again notice the self-control of a moment, that he does not utter a lie. This is called a careful selection of words in which an accurate description of the facts is given. He doesn't say that we will only take who stole, or only the thief, but the one with whom we found our luggage. He has just been through an emotional trauma. He's just been accused of something that never happened. He doesn't lose his self-control even then. He doesn't lose his careful words that he uttered. Verse 80. When they lost their hope of moving Yusuf, they went aside to confer in private. The eldest of them said, you know that your father had taken a solemn pledge in the name of Allah, and you also know how you fell short of your duty with respect to Yusuf. Therefore, I am not going to leave this land until my father gives me permission, or Allah decide for me, and he is the best of all judges. Now, when the brothers realize that the deal is final and done, they get together in a corner for a private meeting, and they discuss between themselves how to go about it. Now, the eldest brother says that this is something very serious now, because we have given a very solemn oath to our father about Binyamin, and I am too ashamed to face him. And he inflicts a punishment on his own self and says that I will not go back to Palestine and stay here unless and until either of the two things happen. My father allows me to come back with forgiveness, or Allah makes such a situation that a way out for me is made. And to think of it, this is not an easy punishment. This is the punishment of exile. 81. Go back to your father and tell him, Father, your son committed theft. We did not see him stealing. We testify only to what we know. How could we guard against the unforeseen? 82. You may inquire from the people of the city where we lodged and the caravan in which we travelled that we are indeed telling the truth. 83. When they went back and told all this to their father, No, cried their father, your souls have contrived a story for you. Well, I will bear this too with good patience. Maybe that Allah will bring them all back to me. Indeed, He is the knowledgeable, the wise. So he says that I know that this is a plot. He sees through it, and he knows that his son is not a thief. So he says that what can I do now? I have no option to get this plot unwinded somehow. The only option that I'm left with is that I will do sabr. Like other emotions, sabr also has many grades and levels, and the sabr which Yaqub alayhi salam does, that is sabrun jameel, is the sabr of the highest level. That is the peak of sabr. Verse 84. He turned his face away from them, crying, Alas for Yusuf. His eyes became white with grief, and he became sorely oppressed with grief. 85. They said, By Allah, it appears that you will not cease to remember Yusuf until you ruin your health or kill yourself. 86. He said, I complain of my distress and grief to Allah alone, and I know from Allah what you do not know. 87. O my sons, go and search for Yusuf and his brother. Never give up hope of Allah's mercy. In fact, none despairs of Allah's mercy except the disbelieving people. So this shows that the Mu'min never gives up hope. He is always optimistic, always positive. 88. When they went to Egypt and entered Yusuf's office, they said, Noble prince, we and our family are in great distress. We have hardly any money. Please give us full quota and also some charity. Surely Allah rewards the charitable. Subhanallah, look at this. These are the mysterious ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The bullies of the past are now groveling at the feet of the one who was bullied. 89. Hearing this, Yusuf, who could not contain himself no longer, replied, Do you know what you did to Yusuf and his brother while acting out of ignorance? Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Yusuf alayhi salam to reveal his identity, and he does it in a very subtle way. That you remember what you did to Yusuf and his brother when you were ignorant? He is still saying it in a very polite way, as if he is shifting the blame of theirs to ignorance, whereas he had all the position and the authority to use the harshest of words. 90. This took them by surprise, and they cried, What? Are you really Yusuf? He said, Yes, I'm Yusuf, and this is my brother. Allah has indeed been gracious to us. In fact, as for the righteous and patient, Allah really does not let the reward of the righteous be wasted. 91. They said, By Allah, certainly Allah has preferred you over us. We have certainly been guilty. So finally, his beauty of character melts the rancor in their hearts, and they acknowledge their own shortcomings of character, something they would never bear to do. 92. Yusuf said, There is no blame on you today. May Allah forgive you. He is the most merciful of those who show mercy. Now, the response of Yusuf alayhi salam is again very amazing. He says that there is no blame on you today, that he forgives in such a way so as to make them as comfortable as possible. He says nothing that pinpoints or targets them, or we can say that he uses careful, neutral words. He doesn't rub it in that although you brought this and this harm on me, yet I chose to forgive you for Allah's sake, and as usual turns the whole focus away from everyone else to Allah, that He may forgive you and that He is Arhamur Rahimin. Not that I am so great, not that you are so wicked, but Allah is Arhamur Rahimin. 93. Go, take this shirt of mine and cast it over the face of my father. He will recover his sight. Then come back to me with all the members of your family. 94. When the caravan started, their father said, certainly I feel the scent of Yusuf, even though you may think I'm out of my mind. 95. The people who heard him said, by Allah, you are still suffering from your old illusion. 96. But when the bearer of the good news arrived, he cast the shirt of Yusuf over his face and he regained sight. So the brothers come back with the shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam, and one of them throws it on the face of Yaqub alayhi salam, and by the will and permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his sight comes back. Now when Yaqub alayhi salam sees the shirt of Yusuf, he says that, didn't I tell you? I knew from Allah what you did not know. And by this he means to say that I always told you that Yusuf was alive, but you never believed me, thinking that I had gone out of my mind. Verse 97. They said, Father, pray for the forgiveness of our sins. We have indeed done wrong. Verse 98. He replied, soon I will ask my Rabb for your forgiveness. Surely he is the one who is forgiving, the merciful. Here we find that Yaqub alayhi salam has made no mention of what had happened in the past. Once a person is sorry, there is actually no need to scratch the old wounds that are nearer to healing. What Yaqub alayhi salam did was the reaction of a mature person and a composed person. And then secondly, he says that I will seek forgiveness for you from Allah after some time. By this he means to say that I have forgiven you, but I need to seek forgiveness from Allah for you as well. And why is he delaying that? Because he wants to do it at the Tahajjud time, and the time that is most recommended for the acceptance of du'as. Verse 99. When they came to Yusuf, he asked his parents to lodge with himself and said, now enter the city, Allah willingly. You will live here in peace. Verse 100. After entering the city, he helped his parents to seat on the throne, and they all fell down in prostration before him. This, said Yusuf to his father, is the interpretation of my dream, which I dreamt long before. My Rabb has really made it come true. He took me out of prison and brought you all here from the desert, even though Shaitan had stirred up strife between me and my brothers. For sure, my Rabb fulfills his plan in mysterious ways. Surely he is the one who is the knowledgeable, the wise. So again we see that Yusuf alayhi salam is attributing everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that I had been so patient, not that you had been so cunning, but only that my Rabb is the most gracious. Verse 101. O Rabb, you have indeed given me kingdom and taught me the interpretation of dreams. O creator of the heavens and the earth, you are my protector in this world and in the hereafter. Make me die as a Muslim and admit me amongst the righteous. Here we see that Yusuf alayhi salam praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and mentions his special favor on himself, that you gave me kingdom, you gave me the knowledge of interpretations of dreams, insights of things, and both these things are very unique favors. And he says nothing that shows that he's trying to take the credit in any way to himself. He says that this is a favor, not that I deserved it. And then he makes a dua to Allah and addresses Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his beautiful and majestic attribute, Fatir is-samawati wal-ard, creator of the heavens and the earth. You are my wali. Who is a wali? Protector, friend, where in dunya and in the akhirah, in this world and the hereafter. Just as I was alone, I was abandoned all my life. You stood by me, Allah. You comforted me like a true friend, and you were my protector as well. People tried to tear me apart, but you protected me from every plot. You did not withhold your protection for a single moment. You protected me when I was a bare child. You protected me in my youth, in my middle age, and Allah, keep this protection of yours up till all the stages of Akhirah are covered, and I am with the Salihin, that is the righteous people in Jannah. What a comprehensive dua he made. Verse 102, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this story which we have revealed to you is a tale of the unseen, for you were not there with the brothers of Yusuf when they collectively conspired and schemed against him. Verse 103, yet strive as you may, most men are not going to become believers. Verse 104, this Quran is nothing but a reminder for all the people of the world. 105, there are many signs in the heavens and the earth which they pass by, yet they pay no attention to them. 106, as a result, most of them who believe in Allah also commit shirk. Verse 107, do they feel secure that Allah's scourge will not fall on them, or that the hour of doom will not come upon them suddenly while they do not suspect it? 108, tell them plainly, this is my way. I invite you to Allah with sure knowledge, which I and my followers possess. Glory be to Allah, and I am not one of the mushrikeen. 109, all the Rasuls that we sent before you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, were human beings to whom we sent our revelations after choosing them from the people of their own town. Have these unbelievers not traveled through the land and seen what was the end result of those who passed away before them from their destiny? You should know that the home of the hereafter is better for those who are righteous. Why don't you understand? Verse 110, respite was granted until the Rasuls gave up hope of their people and realized that they were being treated as liars. Our help came to them, and we delivered those whom we pleased, and our scourge was not averted from the criminal people. Verse 111, there is a lesson in these stories of former people for the men of common sense. This story of Yusuf alayhi salam revealed in the Quran is not an invented tale, but a confirmation of previous scriptures, a detailed exposition of all things, and a guidance and blessing for the people who believe. Now in this verse, Allah says that these stories of the Quran are not there to amuse you or give you some intellectual stimulation. They are there to guide you, to make you move, and so that to instigate you, and you learn these lessons which are for your own benefit. For shallow and secular people, it's just another story, but for people of deep understanding, there is an ocean of wisdom to be learned. This is such an awesome story that within this one story, there are many stories. For example, the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, the story of Yaqub alayhi salam, the story of the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, of Aziz and his wife, of the king of Egypt, of the prisoners. And this is a story to which anyone can relate to at some level. It has such a variety of emotions in it that it is not possible that you have not been through any emotion at some stage of your life. This story is your story. This is my story. Every Muslim should read and benefit from it. The more you understand, the more closer you will be to Islam. There are so many lessons and beneficial points in this story that one can go on and on. But just to summarize it, let's go briefly through its dominant themes. First of all, we see the relationship of a father and son, how it should be built on confidence, love and trust. The child Yusuf, who wants to narrate his dream to his father, and the father deals with him like his best friend. He doesn't say that, you get lost, I don't have time to listen to your silly dreams. And then we are taught about the concept of nazar. Not once but twice in this surah. Once when Yaqub alayhi salam stops Yusuf alayhi salam from narrating his dream to his brothers, and secondly when he tells his 11 sons to enter from different gates. Then we learn how destiny works in mysterious ways, a way that is known to Allah alone, and what good or bad there is in your life is for a reason. Then we see tawakkul ala Allah on its peak. Simply nothing could shake the tawakkul of Yaqub alayhi salam. Losing his sons, losing his sight, was mistreated by his sons, but still his hopes were not shattered. He had full trust in Allah's mercy. Yusuf alayhi salam had to go through all the miseries of tough trials and painful emotions, but like his father, his trust in Allah was never shaken even once. Then we learn about Sabrun Jameel, the beautiful sabr, how a demonstration of its practice was shown. Both the father and the son had to undergo heartbreaking tribulations, but not a word of complaint to anyone except Allah. We come to know what optimism is, that if you become an optimist, not even the toughest trial have the power to make you a pessimist and despair in Allah's mercy. We learn to handle the pain when our loved ones start hating us and turn against us, or if they start accusing you of something you never did. The cure is clinging to Allah and reinforcing the belief that He knows. He knows what I did and He knows what I did not do. He knows what I said and He knows what I did not say, and knows what I intended and what I did not intend. And this comfort is the greatest healing ever for painful wounds. Then we come to know about the measure of evil and good in every soul. So what to do about this evil? Seek Allah's help against it. It is only and only Allah's mercy that can take us out of it. Then we come to know about forgiveness. Its one aspect is the forgiveness of Yaqub alayhi salam to his sons, and then that of Yusuf alayhi salam to his brothers. Once they are sorry, they forgive and forget, with no taunting reminders of the past. And the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if He can forgive sinners like the brothers of Yusuf, who had planned murder, when they sincerely repented, He forgave them. Then we too have hope. And then we see how hatred and jealousy and arrogance can ruin your life and have the power to make you behave worse than animals. We also see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes sure that takabbur is broken. The ones who are always bragging of their strength and number, always are, proud of themselves, are groveling in the feet of Yusuf alayhi salam for sadaqah. Such are the ways of Allah. Then we see how shukr reaches its peak. We see Yusuf alayhi salam crossing one hurdle after the other without a break to relax, and yet he says about Allah Ta'ala that my master has given me an excellent abode, and above all the most important lesson, which is the cream of all lessons, that if you are true to Allah, Allah will be true to you. If you love Allah and prove it 1 degree, Allah will love you and prove it 10 degrees. A slave shows his love of Allah through his obedience and worship, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows his love through the destiny. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this story has many lessons, but for whom? People of deep understanding. Surah Ar-Ra'd. Surah Ar-Ra'd is a Makki surah. Ra'd means the thunderous sound produced due to lightning. Verse 1, Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. These are the verses of the book. They have been revealed to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from your Rabb, are the very truth, but most of the people do not believe in this. Verse 2, Allah is the one who raised the heavens without any pillars that you can see, then firmly established Himself on the throne of authority and subjected the sun and the moon to His laws, each one pursuing its course for an appointed time. He regulates all affairs. He has spelled out His revelations so that you may believe in meeting your Rabb. Verse 3, He is the one who spread out the earth and placed thereon mountains and rivers, created fruits of every kind in pairs, 2 and 2, and makes the night cover the day. Certainly in these things there are signs for those who use their common sense. Verse 4, in the earth there are tracked side by side gardens of grapes, cornfields and palm trees with single and double trunks. They are all watered with the same water, yet we make some of them excel others in taste. Surely in this there are signs for people who use their common sense. Now, what Allah wants to say is that all these fruits, though they come out of the same land, they are watered by the same water and are touched by the same rays of the sun and the glow of the moon, and different winds touch them in the same manner. Yet there remains amongst them the difference of color, taste and size. And this difference amongst them is a strong and a clear proof of the fact that this whole system of creation is operating under the command of someone who is wise and and knows how to plan, manage, and run his creation. Verse 5, now if there is anything that feels strange, then strange is their saying, what, when we will become dust, could we then be raised to a new life again? They are the people who have denied their Rabb. They are the ones who will have yokes around their necks, and they are the ones who will be the inmates of hellfire to live therein forever. Verse 6, they ask you to hasten on the evil rather than the good, although there have been instances of exemplary punishments before them. In fact, your Rabb is the Lord of forgiveness to the people, notwithstanding their wrongdoings. And it is also the fact that your Rabb is stern in retribution. Verse 7, the unbelievers say, why is not a sign sent down to him from his Rabb? You are nothing but a warner, and every nation was assigned a guide. The showing of miracles is not within the control of a prophet. That's what these people are being told. Instead, that is directly an act of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Verse 8, Allah knows what every female bears in her womb. He is fully aware of what decrease or increase takes place in the womb. Everything has a due measure with him. Verse 9, he has perfect knowledge of both the visible and the invisible. He is the great, the most high. Verse 10, it is the same to him whether any of you speak in secret or aloud, whether anyone hides under the darkness of night or walks about in broad daylight. Verse 11, each person has been assigned guardian angels before him and behind him who watch him by the command of Allah. The fact is that Allah never changes the condition of a people until they intend to change it themselves. If Allah wants to afflict a people with misfortune, none can ward it off, nor they can find any protection besides him. Now, we find that there are groups of angels appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who provide a security cordon for the people. And then we are also told that Allah does not change his ways until the people change their ways. This means that this is a simple rule, is that when people change their ways from gratitude to ingratitude, from obedience to disobedience, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also changes his ways and lifts up his mercy and protection. Verse 12, he is the one who shows you lightning, which causes fear and hope and brings up heavy clouds. Verse 13, the thunder declares his glory with his praises, and so do the angels with awe. He is the one who sends thunderbolts and smites with them whomever he wants. Yet these disbelievers dispute concerning Allah. Verse 14, praying to him alone is the right thing. The other deities they pray to besides him cannot answer their prayers. They are like a man who stretches forth his hand to the water and asks it to reach his mouth. It cannot reach his mouth this way. Likewise, the prayer of the unbelievers is nothing but a fruitless effort. Verse 15, whatever is in the heavens and the earth do prostrate before Allah alone, willingly or unwillingly, and so do their shadows in the morning and the evening. Verse 16, ask them, who is the Rabb of the heavens and the earth? If they hesitate to respond, say Allah. Then ask them, when this is the fact, why do you take other deities besides him, who do not control any benefit or harm even to themselves, as your protectors? Say, are the blind and the seeing equal, or can the darkness and light be equal? If that is not so, then have their shuraka created anything like his creation, which has made the matter of creation doubtful for them? Say, Allah alone is the creator of everything, and he is the one, the irresistible. Verse 17, he sends down water from the skies, and each channel starts flowing according to its measure, and then the torrent bears a swelling foam like the scum which appears from metal, which are melted in the furnace for making ornaments and utensils. By such examples Allah depicts truth and falsehood. As for the scum, it is thrown away, being worthless, but that which is useful for the mankind remains behind on the earth. In this way, Allah cites examples to make his message clear. Now, the rain mentioned in this verse is knowledge of Deen. This comes to every moment, and he absorbs according to the level of his iman. When it is transformed into practice, it changes the person. Foam on the waves denote the opposition to the people of Deen, which though looks great but subsides eventually. And the second example is the heating of gold that forms a foam on top of it, and the impurities flow away in that foam. The same way, the hardships that come in the way of following Allah's Deen, they purify a moment and they make him shine like gold. Verse 18, there is an excellent reward for those who respond to the call of their Rabb, as for those who do not respond to him. Even if they had all that is in the earth and as much besides to offer as a ransom in order to save themselves from punishment, it would be of no use. They are the ones who will have terrible reckoning. Their abode will be hell. What an evil resting place. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.